Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Abdulrahma Afia. It's my honor to be with you here today in this virtual new Muslim retreat. What a fantastic initiative. So big thanks to everybody involved in organizing it, from the Islamic Information Center and anybody else involved. I'm going to tell you something about myself, my journey to Islam over the past, I embraced Islam at 18 years old. I'll get to that in a minute. So I'm just going to share with you my story, because perhaps in it there's some lessons. There might be some things that resonate with you. So let me just get straight to it, because I'm not going to be speaking for that long. So I was born in London, in northwest London, in 1974, down at St Mary's Hospital in Paddington. I was born into a very wealthy family. Grew up as a very wild child. I didn't care about anything really except having fun. We later found out that I had ADD, undiagnosed ADD, which I still have today. One of the reasons I'm standing up and not making this video sitting down is that I don't like to be too restricted. So, growing up in northwest London, 6 years old, 7 years old, I started to become really disruptive at school. I started to get into fights with people. I'd make problems in the class. I was very challenged academically. It's not that I wasn't intelligent, but I couldn't focus on my work. We now know it's because of ADD, and I didn't get the help. Back then, there was no real help for things like that, I suppose. So I was really disruptive at school, and I got expelled from every single school I ever went to. I mean, that continued right up until my last school, which I think was 17 years old, and I got kicked out of that one as well. I got kicked out of every single school I ever went to. I failed every single exam I ever took until I was 18 years old. I'll get to that. But the point being that growing up, I was incredibly disruptive, didn't care about, being academically successful, didn't take anything seriously, partly because in my mind, I was always going to go and take over my father's business. My father had a really successful interior design and carpet company. And the plan was always for me just to take it over. So I didn't have to worry about, doing well in exams or anything like that. I was just a rich kid and a wild child. I started smoking at 9 years old. You could put some perspective on it. I mean, 9 years old, I went to a school called Dartington Hall Boarding School. You can Google it. And at Dartington, there were no school rules. It was one of those very new progressive schools. Well, the school had actually been around for about 100 years. And then there'd been a change in the management. And they decided to bring this new philosophy of, if you give children freedom, they'll grow up as responsible adults. Part of that freedom was there were no school rules other than the law of the land, which meant that as long as I didn't buy the cigarettes, I was legally allowed to smoke them in class. And I did. I started smoking at 9 years old. I started drinking at 12 years old. I go into my parents' cabinet. I because they didn't drink, they were teetotalers, but they had drink there for their guests. So I would go in there, I'd take the whiskey out of put it into another bottle, top it up with water. They'd never know, but obviously their guests did. I can't imagine what the guests were thinking when they were being served drinks. But anyhow, I was a wild child. So if I was smoking at 9 years old and drinking at 12 years old, you can imagine, I guess, what else I was getting up to in my teen years. I grew up not believing in anything. I didn't believe that there was a creator. I didn't believe in religion. I thought that all religions were just man-made ways of controlling and enslaving the masses. So I was really anti-religion until I was at a party, and I was 16 years old. And I'd been drinking, my friend had been drinking, his name was Simon. And Simon said to me, "Don't you ever think why we're alive? Why are we here?" So I said to Simon, shut up. What are you talking about? We're here to have fun. What a crazy question. Like, we don't talk about these things. And he said to me, "No, really, do you not think about it?" And I said, "Please stop. This is the most stupid thing I've ever heard you say." He said, "No, really, are we just here to be like our parents, do business, make money, and then die, and that's it?" I said to him, "Just shut up, man," and carried on partying. The thing is, that question there stayed in my mind, not here, but at the back of my mind, and I couldn't get rid of it. So after that party, life went on as normal, and I remember at that time, every now and then the question would come there, like, why are we here? Why are we here? And I'd forget about it. Like, it's not something I cared about. And I certainly wasn't interested really in finding the answer. But every now and then the question would come back. And I remember having to go to the library to study for my exams. And this library was in St. John's Wood. So I went to the library. I remember sitting down there, and maybe because of my ADD, I remember looking around, being bored, and just looking for something to. Well, I guess everything was distracting me. And I saw all the books. They were kind of almost in front of me, religious books. I was like, oh, what's this nonsense? Let me have a look at this. Because I thought, I already went in there with a closed mind saying this is all nonsense. Anyway, because I guess I was distracted, I said, let me have a look. So I took the book down. I think the first book I took down was the Bible. And I started reading the Bible, flipping through it. I didn't really find anything in there that connected with me, but it was kind of a welcome distraction. Anything but, doing my homework. So I sat down with it for a bit. The next day when I went back, have another look at it, I didn't really find anything. And then over a course of a few months, I suppose I'd kind of done the same thing with all of the books on the shelf. So there was everything there, right? There was Judaism, Christianity, Hinduism, Buddhism, every type of ism you can imagine was there. The one thing that wasn't there was anything about Islam. Now I didn't think, where are the Islamic books? Because I didn't know anything about Islam. I didn't even know there was a religion called Islam. I knew that there were Arabs, and in my mind they were crazy. Because why? I'd seen on television back then, you're talking about 28 years ago, 30 years ago, the picture of Islam, or the picture of the Arabs at that time, which was portrayed as Islam, looking back now, was terrible. So all you ever saw on television were people hijacking planes. I remember images still burned in my brain of people standing on top of planes with a machine gun in one hand and a copy and a mushaf in the other hand, Allahu Akbar, and me thinking, what are these people? They're nuts. That's what I was thinking. Anyhow, after a few months of kind of looking at these books, I said, you know what? Forget about it. There is no answer to this question. Just put it out your mind. And I did. I said, there's no answer. Okay? But every now and then it would still come back. Then one day I was on I think it was about 17 and a half, going on 17 and a half, and I think I was on a bus, and I was going past a large mosque, a large masjid in London called Regent's Park, called Central Mosque. And a huge mosque that I'd been past, I must have gone past it 1,000 times in my life, and I never stopped to look at it. But this day was a Friday, and I remember looking and seeing hundreds of people, it's a huge mosque, seeing hundreds of people going into that mosque. And I saw Pakistanis, I saw people that came from that part of the world, I saw people that were coming from the Arab part of the world, I remember just seeing people in their African dress. I saw people from like everywhere, and you don't see that usually in the UK. If you go into a church, if you go into anywhere, you'll see people, generally speaking, look the same and dress the same. I was like, who are these people? And I remember distinctively being at the traffic light, the petrol station was on my left and the masjid was on the right. And I remember thinking, who are these people? And the same way that I used to get distracted when I was meant to be doing my homework, I guess, I got distracted from going to college, going to school. Yeah, I think I was at tutorial college at that time. They were the only people that would take me. And I remember saying, wait, I'm getting off the bus. Forget going to college. And I got off the bus. And I remember, I was like, who are these people? I want to know. So I crossed the road and I went over to the masjid, but I was too scared to go in. Plus it was Friday, right? So there were lots of people. It was like going, if you've ever been to a football match, it's like when you get close to going, through the tunnel and you're about to go into the stadium, just the noise is kind of overpowering. It's just like a huge noise. And it was a huge noise from people talking. The khutbah hadn't even started. The Friday sermon hadn't begun. So I was too scared to go in there. Remember, I had a very bad picture of these, whoever these people, because some of those people clearly looked like the people that I'd seen on television with their machine guns and their terrorism. So I wasn't going to talk to anybody. So I just sat outside. There was a wall, and I just sat outside the mosque. And the khutbah started, and I was thinking the Friday sermon started, and it was in Arabic, and he was shouting. I remember thinking, I don't know, what am I even doing here? I should have just gone to college, but alhamdulillah, it was Allah's plan. But really, I don't know why, I was just wasting time, because I wasn't talking to anyone. So anyway, I sat there, and the people listened to the sermon. They came out of the masjid. They obviously left, and I was still sitting on the wall. And I was curious, because I was just watching them. But obviously, anything. I was having ADD. I was very easily distracted at that time. So just watching them, leave, I was mesmerized by them. They all had like really nice clothes on, but very different clothing, and people seemed happy. I saw people hugging each other like after the sermon. I was like, all right, better get to college now. I'm going to face the music. Now I'm late for college, you know? I've been there about an hour and a half, I think. Anyway, just when I was getting ready to leave, a person came up to me from Sudan. I now know, he was from Sudan. He came up to me and he said, "Are you a Muslim?" I said, no, I'm not a Muslim. He said, "Okay, wait there." I was like, okay. I was a little bit nervous, to be honest with you, but I waited. And he went away and came back with 2 books. I'll never forget them. One of them was a translation of the Quran, and the other one was a book. It was orange and blue. I can remember it like I had it in my hand now. And it was called What Everyone Should Know About Islam and the Muslims by a lady called Suzanne Hanif. I've never heard of her since that day, but I just remember distinctively that book. He said to me, "Take these books, read these books, and if there's anything that you have any questions about, come back to us and we'll help you." I said to him, "Thank you, man. That's really nice." I remember being struck by how nice this person was being to me. Like he was, his manners were impeccable. The way he was talking to me was sweet. Everything about him was really nice. You know, here he was giving me these 2 gifts. I said, "Thank you." He said, "Keep this translation of the Quran, keep it clean. It has the Quran in Arabic and English, the translation in English. So, keep it clean and respect it and, read it, I said, "Okay, I will. Thank you so much." I went back home and I was quite, thrilled by having these books. So, got home, started reading the book. When I opened the translation of the Quran, I found it very difficult to understand. It was written in very old Shakespearean English, and being somebody who just didn't go to school, just, some of my exam results, I just got U, which means I didn't even attend. That's how I just hated studying. I found it very difficult. I certainly didn't do English literature, and hated Shakespeare. And this was written in that type of style. So I was like, I tried to read it, put it away, took it down a couple of months later, said forget it. So I was right back to there are no answers. Until one day, and I'm going to round off pretty soon now. One day I was on a bus and I heard 2 ladies talking about Hyde Park. Hyde Park's a beautiful park in the city of London, and they were talking about this place called Speaker's Corner, and they were saying, "Oh, it's crazy. You go there and you hear Buddhists talking, Jews talking, Christians talking, Muslims. Everyone just talks and says whatever they want about their religion. It's crazy." And I heard them and I thought, wow, maybe I'll get the answers that I'm looking for there. Because that question was still here. It hadn't completely gone. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was in nightclubs, I was partying, I was being a lunatic. But that question was still there. And I was just coming up to, I think I was around 18 at that point. I was almost 18. Yeah, I was about 17 3/4. So I said, I'm going to go to Hyde Park. Let me go and see. So I went to Hyde Park one Sunday. I went to Speaker's Corner and I went in, and the sound, again, that same sound that I'd experienced in the mosque, just overwhelming sound of people talking and loud shouting. I went over and and I listened to everybody. So I listened to the Christian, I listened to the Jewish guy, I listened to the Hindu guy, I listened to the Buddhist guy. And quite honestly, everybody that I heard, nothing resonated with me. Everything was just, there didn't seem in what they were saying any real connection with the real world that I was living in. It just went over my head. Until I came to the Muslim. There was a Muslim, he was originally from Trinidad, and he was talking there. And I remember, the reason I say he was from Trinidad, I remember I heard his accent, I was listening to him, I heard his accent, that's a nice accent. And then I saw that he was talking about Islam. When I went over and I listened to him, straight away what he was saying hit me. What he was saying about the creation, about reflecting on creation, what he was saying about racism, what he was saying about human rights, what he was saying about science, everything that he was saying, I was looking, I was saying, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. He was speaking in a really nice, very, very, really, he had a really good way of speaking as well. And what he was saying made sense. He wasn't trying to, I think with the other people, there was a lot of fire and brimstone, like, woe unto you. And it wasn't like that. He was just saying, this is Islam. And he was talking about Islam. It was the first time I really heard the mention of the word Quran since somebody had given me the translation outside the mosque that day. Everything he was saying connected with me, had an impact on me. And I stood there listening to him all day. He would get down off his ladder. I saw him go and pray. He'd come back. I was like, this guy's pretty... This is the first time actually that I'm really enjoying listening to this. And that's strange for me. Remember, I believe in God. I believe in religion. They're all man-made. So I was still very skeptical. Anyway, cut a long story short, because I don't want to keep you. All week, I went away and I was thinking about what this guy had been saying. So I'm going to go back again. I listened to him again. Same thing. Hit me hard. I was like, he was talking about scientific miracles, and he was talking about the purpose of creation, and explain that, do you think you're just going to be created and messengers aren't going to be sent to show you how to live? And everything he was saying was having an impact. And so again, I go back the next week, and then the next week, and then I started recording him. I had a Walkman, which is very old, shows how old I am, right? I'm 46 years old now, so this is back when I was 18 years old. So I had a Walkman that I would record everything on, and I'd listen to him during the week. About 6 months passed of listening to this person speaking every Sunday, reflecting on what he'd been saying during the week. But do you know, I had never spoken to him, not once, and I still knew virtually nothing really about the tenets of our faith or anything else. And I was still scared to speak to him. I didn't know what his reaction would be to me. I remember one Sunday, I started to get dizzy because I was annoying myself. I was like, come on, man, you got to speak to him. Just speak to him. Just tell him this. And I rehearsed my words. Tell him that you think you want to be a Muslim, but you need information. Which was true. By that point, I was pretty convinced I wanted to be a Muslim, but I still needed information. I used to go and walk up and down Edgware Road looking for information on Islam, and they had nothing back in those days. All the Arabic shops, the only Arabic stuff they had on Edgware Road where I'd go looking was stuff on calligraphy and Islamic architecture, but there was nothing on Islam, nothing. So I remember I got kind of dizzy. I was like, right, you're going to do it. I walked up to him after he finished speaking. I said, listen, I said, hi. I said, you might not have time for somebody like me. He said, no, of course. Well, what is it? I said, look, I think I want to be a Muslim, but I need information about Islam. He looked at me, he said, you want to be a Muslim? I said, well, in the future, but I don't have any, I've been listening to you, but I don't really have any information. He said, no problem. How about we sit down now? Would you like some information now? I can help you. I said, that'd be amazing. We sat down for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. He answered all of my questions. It was a really nice talk. And I was like, this is great. This is exactly what I've been looking for. I'll come back next week and get more. He said to me, look, after 2 hours or so, do you believe what it is that we've been talking about? Do you believe that there's nothing that deserves to be worshipped except Allah? And do you believe that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is his last and final messenger? Do you believe what we've spoken about the angels and about other and about all of these things? Do you believe these things? I said, yeah, I do. I've been listening to you for 6 months, and what you just told me today, that just sealed everything for me. He said, okay, so if you believe it in your heart, why not say it on your tongue? Why not say it? I said, I've never had a problem saying what I feel. That's why I've always gotten into so much trouble over the years. Yeah, I don't mind doing that. He said, okay, because if you do that, that's what a Muslim is. A Muslim is somebody who submits their will to the will of Allah, and it starts with the declaration of faith. And all I remember thinking is, well, I do believe it in my heart, so yeah, I'll say it. What? Not really thinking about, this is the day that I'm going to become a Muslim. All I knew is that I believed it in my heart, and I'll say it. So he said, okay, repeat after me. And he said the Shahada in Arabic, and I repeated after him, stumbling along the way, and he corrected me. And then, of course, he repeated it in English. And after I said it, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh, he gave me the biggest hug ever. He said, Allah Akbar, brother, today you're a Muslim. And I remember saying to him, no, not today. Not today. I don't want to do it today. I'll do it in the future, inshallah. Today, I remember saying, today I'll just be a mini Muslim. And he was hugging me. He said, no, brother, this is it. You're a Muslim. If you believe it in your heart and you say it with your tongue, you're a Muslim. All your sins are forgiven. And as he was hugging me, for the first time, I saw around me how many people had been standing watching. I didn't even know there were 40, 50 people watching us in the park because they knew what was happening. I had no idea. And then one by one, everyone came up and they were hugging me and they were saying, Allah Akbar, brother, you're a Muslim. I'll never forget one brother reached into my pocket. I had my cigarettes. He was like, you won't be needing these anymore. And he tried to rip them. And I remember thinking, I said to him, like, no, whoa. I need those. I said to the brother, there are so many things that I'm still doing until today that I know a Muslim shouldn't be doing. I don't think I'm ready to be a Muslim. He said, you're ready because there's no day to be ready except the day when you believe it in your heart and you say it with your tongue. Shwaya, he told me, step by step, you'll get better. You'll start to work on yourself. The first thing is just to enter Islam. Then worry about everything else. They said to me, we're going to the mosque to pray Maghrib. It was the evening prayer. Do you want to come? I said, no. It's been too much for one day. I'm cool. I'm staying here. I remember watching them all go off. I sat down in the park. I was overwhelmed. I knew that many challenges lay ahead for me. But wallahi, I remember saying to myself, Joel, that was my name before, Joel, this is the best thing you've ever done in your life. And I remember saying that. This is the best thing you've ever done in your life. I'm going to end it there, but I'm going to now share another video with you, a short video on some of the challenges that I faced after that day and the lessons that you can learn from overcoming some of those adversities, being able to adapt and overcome, when you go through life's tests. I hope you found this beneficial. If there's anything good that I said, it was from Allah, and if there's any mistakes that I made, then it was from me, from the shaitan. So I hope it brought value to you, and remember me in your du'as.